It's good that he looks very fit. I was really impressed by the front rowers, Marty Tapau, Warrior Hargraves, Asofa Solomona. They really stood up to a big Samoa pack. Samoa's strength this time around is probably in their pack, or the size of their pack, that's for sure. And they completely overmatched them. And those three in particular, Warrior Hargraves, Tapau, and Asofa Solomona, are going to be formidable in this tournament, and this game showed it. And I think we see similar things from particularly Asofa Solomona
in their next outing.
In the next outing for Samoa, This didn't tell me much about. This didn't tell me that they were what they were in the last World Cup, which was the best of the Pacific nations. Yeah. It felt like, even though Fiji made it further, Samoa were the ones that everyone was excited about. I think they haven't really progressed in the key playmaking positions, and that's kind of what this game showed.
There you go. Okay, final game of the Saturday then saw the Fijians beat the United States by 58 points to 12. Tries from, a brace from Milne and Nakwama. Akila Uwate got on the score sheet, as did Kane Evans. Vunivalu got 2, Jared Hayne got 1, Kikau and Rai Walui got 1 as well for the Fijians. Consolation tries for the United States coming through Shipway and Patrick Vaibai.
Yeah, and Shipway was one of the players who showed flashes.
Who's the fullback for the United States?
Yeah, we'll talk about him in the second game. For them, really, is the only positive to take from that game. Shipway showed a couple of flashes, but barely got involved in the game, which was a bit disappointing, because he was one of the players who I remember from the last time around. The Hull fans will be happy that Faremo got over 100 metres and looked not entirely terrible, but that's kind of about it for the USA.
That's damning praise, isn't it? It looks not entirely terrible.
With Fiji, what this did show is that a pretty unconventional back five, when you've got try-scoring weapons who will absolutely tear in and not be afraid of contact or body contorting behaviour or whatever they might do to get to where they're wanting to go. It might not always look polished, but they're going to threaten you, that back five. And then Hayne added a little bit of polish in there. And for me, that was... It was like the backs that were exciting in this one. Uarte as the centre. Who'd have thought that would work? But it was exciting in this game. And they just... I don't have loads to say. Braden Williami in the pack, that was weird. But yeah, you can't say too much about this Fiji side because of the level of the opposition they've played. This is the worst. This is a much worse USA squad, I would say, than last time around. Yeah. There you go. Okay,
into the Sunday then. The Irish took on the Italians and came out on top, 36 points to 12. Tries for Kay, got a brace. King, Kyler Moore got a score. Morgan and Louis McCarthy, Scarsbrook for the Wolfhounds. Italy's tries came through Castellero and Milone. Don't you like them at Italy?
Aidan Stalker says, I got sunburnt watching that. The left edge of Morgan and Kay looked very dangerous and the Italians couldn't cope with them. Is he there then?
I don't know.
He said the pack looked a bit small.
Maybe it was just a very sunny day.
Yeah, the pack looked a bit small, but Philbin... Ireland were so white hot. The pack looked a bit small, but Philbin and Mullally were good off the bench. Liam Finn is clearly our most important player and directed play superbly. Felt a bit odd cheering on McAloran, but he wasn't a cunt. Poor Italy need to replace that Tabasco fella and regroup. Bring on PNG. And Brian Davies said, watch this one with Paul Michael Craig and one of his mates in a corporate box.
Prawn sandwiches.
It was unreal. A packed icebox full of tinnies with a pretty young waitress constantly restocking and asking if she could open another can for you or bringing you another tray of snacks. It was definitely a better option than sitting on the opposite side on the grass in the baking afternoon sun. Ireland caught Italy cold in this one. That was all I had to say on the actual game.
I feel like, well, that's all I'd have to say on it as well. Jesus wept. I feel like banning Bry from contributing to this podcast while he's in the World Cup. No, that's phenomenal, isn't it?
This was the second game. Was this the second game?
Second game of what? No, this Ireland's first. Ireland and Italy's first.
No, the second game, because there was two. It was a double header, weren't it, in Cairns?
Oh, maybe so. Yeah.
Was this game before the Scotland game or after it?
I'm not sure.
No, I think it was before it, weren't it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
yes, it was, because his feedback in that one is this was the second of a double header on the free grog with the crown print. Right, we'll get to that in a bit.
Ireland were really impressive. They were able to put on set plays. Liam Kay looks like he can play at this sort of level. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's not say Italy are a world-class side. They're certainly not. But there is some talent in that side, and there is some NRL experience in that side. Not, I'm thinking more like Vaughan, Minicello and Brown in the pack, Wakeman, when he's not fighting his own team. But
there's Jimmy Tedesco, there's Mantellato.
But the most impressive player on the pitch was Lou McCarthy-Scarsbrook. He was absolutely outstanding.
He's come to play in this World Cup, hasn't he?
Yeah, and it pains me to say just how outstanding he is. Old rubber gob, but he was incredible in this game. He was a massive difference maker. As much as Finn and Grix were very good as well, and I certainly would agree with them being the control and Finn being really important to this side, because Puarangi isn't really offering a great deal in the playmaking stakes for them as things are at the moment. But yeah, it was a really promising game for Ireland. The most enjoyable result from the Northern Hemisphere perspective, given that it was a win for us. And yeah, for Italy, Jack Johns, before he went off injured, was garbage. Garbage.
Is he garbage?
The fact that he was even discussed in the build-up as a potential game changer gave so little credibility to that Channel 7 panel.
Is he the victim of being whose son he is?
Well, he wasn't in this game. He wasn't. That his dad.
Shit.
Well, yeah, he was utter garbage.
But do you think people hold him to a higher standard even now? Because
no, people know his name. So dumbasses who don't actually bother learning anything about the sport that they're covering know who he is because of who his dad is.
Yeah,
that's all I'd say.
Right.
But it was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is he? That 19?
Very young. He's got. I'm not saying this is his career done. I'm saying let's not expect.
Let's not expect Andrew Johns from 19-year-old Jack Johns.
Yeah. That's where I'm at with him.
Yeah, I agree.
And I want him. He'll bounce back. He'll recover from his injuries. He'll get run around in under 20s games next year. He'll become a player.
Look, if he ends up being 3/4 as good as his dad, he's going to have a phenomenal career, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But he was garbage in this game. Doesn't deserve any sort of attention.
No.
Anyone putting expectation on him to be better than poor in this game didn't really have a great handle on things.
Yeah, it's not fair enough.
Whereas no one was really expecting anything from Finn, who people should know in that Ireland shirt is, and Grix as well has always played well for Ireland.
Yeah. Always worked out, haven't they? Okay, so between that and the other game in the doubleheader, the French took on the Lebanese and were defeated 18 points to 29. Adair bagged a brace, as well did Cardass for the French, but it was Layoun, Robinson, Douay and Mitch Moses for the Lebanese.
Yeah, Brian
First
Davies.
win at a World Cup for the Cedars.
Yeah, well done to them. Brian Davies said, watch this in PJ O'Brien's, the town's obligatory Irish pub with Paul Michael Craig. And
Can I just say, I thought when he wrote PJ O'Brien's that he just was too pissed around with Paul Michael Craig. No. That's what he auto-corrected to.
And the Ireland team, who were in there having a pint or two to celebrate their victory earlier. Tightest game of the first weekend and an excellent chip over the top try to seal it for Lebanon. That's it done for France now. They'll need to qualify for 2021, and when you think the World Cup was their idea in the first place.
There you go. Okay. That's about all we've got to say on that, or have you got any points to make?
I agree with what is said there. I actually think this was another example of them just knowing the odd player's name on Channel 7 and bigging them up throughout the entire game. Basically, Moses did nothing. Yeah. And I was thinking, okay, Farah has put in a good kicking game here when he's had the chance to, so he has helped put the French under pressure. The French did struggle a little bit getting out of their own end because of the enthusiasm of the Lebanon forward pack. But really, Moses was absent for most of this game, and then he came up with the two crucial plays, the drop goal, where he wasn't pressurised at all, and that fantastic chip over for himself, which shows the skills the kid has and what he could develop into being. I didn't think France were terrible. I don't understand how Nabil Jalou has been cast aside from that side after his stint in this game. I thought he was really good for them. I thought he actually gave them some...
And he's got top banter.
Some meter making. Julien Bousquet was pretty decent, I thought. And I don't think they got too much other input from the other men on the bench, which I think didn't help things. I think Thibaut Margalet, he wasn't bad when he got the ball. He just didn't get it. He just didn't work hard enough. For my mind, I was really disappointed that Bartow didn't contribute at all to this game. He spent too much time culturing his moustache and not enough time developing a relationship with Theo Farge and Mark Corella. And the last takeaway from this game, really, Ilias Bergel on the wing. He's the lad at Swinton, isn't he?
Right.
He was decent. Bastien Adair inside him was also decent. But yeah, that was a good combination. So some promise there from those two. And finally, Theo Farge has played in Super League for long enough that these dumbasses down under should be able to pronounce his name properly.
What were they saying?
Farges! Farges!
Oh, for God's sake. Very good. Okay, so into the final game of the first round of fixtures, then Scotland took on the Tongans and were tonked by the Tongans 50 points to 4. Danny Addy got one for the Brave Arts, but it was Jennings, Tamalolo, Sikamano, Bill Tupu, Terepo and Higano for the Tongans.
I'm really sorry, I had a couple of other points to make on Lebanon.
Oh, go ahead.
I spoke a lot about France and
tell us more about Lebanon.
How they couldn't really do much. But
you seem to know a lot about Lebanon. That might come in handy later.
I was impressed by Alex Twal.
Alex Twal
off the bench. He's an up-and-coming player who's going to get some game time next year. You would expect at the West Tigers, if that's where he's going to be next year. That's whose books he's on at the moment, according to what I'm reading here. And obviously, Tim Manor was basically did everything he could to be on the game for on the pitch for as much as possible. So well done to those two in the pack. Sorry.
Well, I've said my piece about the scoreline for Tonga and Scotland. It was 50 points to 4. What feedback did we get?
Neil McEwen, who is a Scots fan, as we know, said, "Can I come out from behind the cushions yet? What a bumming we took from Tonga. 17 NRL against a mostly championship team was no fair match. Tonga just pummeled us from the first minute, just hoping the lads who left Australia /Kiwi stick with Tonga for future tournaments, or it's been pointless."
Yes.
I suppose they have to have tournaments to play in for sticking with them. They won't be in every tournament. That's the sad part of it. Brian Davies said, "This was the second of the doubleheader on the free grog, with the Crown Prince of Tonga sitting a few seats away. We wore our Scotland Rugby League wristbands with pride for this one, but Tonga was simply too good, much to the delight of their fans, it has to be said. The banging of the side of the stand on one try nearly knocked my tinny off the icebox. Tonga look as good as people predicted, and Scotland weak."
There you go. So this was Tonga's first outing, augmented by their returning heritage players as well, and it's certainly done them some good, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, Will Hopewati will play on Sundays for them, which is a bonus. They've got talent throughout. Michael Jennings was, a World Cup winner last time around, wasn't he? Chimi Lola here is probably the most... He's on a par with Ben Roberts as the best halfback in these Pacific nation sides. I mean, Jared Haynes playing like that, but traditionally he's not one. And then they've just got so much in the pack. And that was where this game really was the difference. And we talked about Brooks and Walker going home. I mean, look, neither of them were huge in this game, and both of them aren't exactly the biggest forwards in the world, but that's where Scotland are entirely lacking in the front row for size-wise, because the amount of times that Tonga were just able to barge through him, really. Just barge through him, completely outmuscle them. Tamalolo did it time and time again for his 167 metres, and then off the back of that absolute battering, the backs were able to run a little bit wild, I suppose, towards the end, and they were just exceptional, weren't they? I mean, I'm really impressed with Takiaho, Terepo. These are players who don't stand out to me on a weekly basis in the NRL, but here they were really good. And And yeah, they just were too physical for Scotland. That's all they needed to be here. They didn't even need to be